Villainous by It's_Kingston on AO3. Episode 28, Chapter 17, Past. She looked out the window, checking the driveway in a panic. No cars yet. Her parents weren't home. Yet she grabbed a piece of paper and a pen and quickly scribbled out anything she ever wanted to say to her parents, some of which consisted of, "You're terrible human beings. The fact that you blame me for using my quirk is horrible. I should kill you next. And finally, you haven't changed me or stopped me in any way. Not including animals, I'm already up to 28. Smiley face." The front door swung open, hitting the wall with a bang. Toga gulped, grabbed her duffel bag, and vaulted out the window with practice ease. She went down the trails quickly, losing her footing as she scrambled down. She caught herself and safely made it to the ground. Deciding that running to the driveway would be easier than trying to navigate the forest's crowded edges, she did just that. Wrong choice. A car slammed on brakes, barely missing her as she jumped backwards. Toga looked at the windshield, her hopes sinking as she made out her father's face. He was pissed. His mother ran outside, screaming something, as the other clutched a note in her fist. Toga felt nauseous, like her stomach was spinning around in her abdomen, trying to generate enough speed to burst out. Most notably was the luring sense of bloodlust as she slowly backed away from her parents. I can't begin to tell you how disappointed I am in you. You killed a student. Over what? You know what? It doesn't matter. You ended his life. You're a monster. A savage. You're going to federal prison. Her mother didn't quite shout as she drew closer. Her high heels clicked on the pavement until she made it into the grass that Toga stood in. The girl kept trying to back up, to get away, but they wouldn't let her. She was trapped. "You're a disgrace. I can't even think of words to tell you, to let you know how badly you screwed up. How terrible you are." Her father had begun walking towards her as well, though he didn't hesitate to stop when she moved. He charged forward, with reckless ambition, his fist raised. Toga didn't react violently, as his closed fist was brought down on her cheekbone, the same one the boy had hit, only wincing and turning away. She just wanted to leave. "You were a mistake!" her mother screamed, encouraging the girl's father to swing again. "What kind of child kills another on purpose?" Another punch hit her jaw, and she quickly realized if she didn't fight back, she wouldn't make it. The punch toppled her to the ground, and she almost hit her head on a rock laying in the front yard. She raised her head, using an arm to help her get up to her side. "What kind of parent hits their kid? Oh, I can tell you, Toga was cut off by a swift kick to the ribs. That sent her tumbling down a few feet. At least one was broken, she could tell. She breathed shallowly, trying not to be taken out by a punctured lung. She got up as quickly as she could, limping significantly as her parents watched her in amusement. "What kind of sick game is this? Which doctor told you this would work?" Toga tried to scream, but the words came out as mere whispers in the wind. "Huh?" her father mocked. Toga gritted her teeth and stepped forward, testing the weight on her foot. It felt bad, to be blunt. She stepped again. This one was better. She dropped her duffel bag when she was almost hit by her father's car, but luckily, she kept her knife in her sleeve instead of the bag. She wouldn't use it yet. They didn't know she had it yet. She bared her teeth, her fangs, as she spoke. "Let me leave, or I'll hurt you," she said calmly, trying to ignore the pain that made her eyes water and ribs ache. "You've always been such a freak." Her mother's last words were silenced as a knife made visible in her daughter's hand. "You wouldn't hurt your own flesh and blood, right?" She was clearly scared now, yet the girl's father didn't seem to budge. "Put that damn thing down now," he said as he approached his daughter, trying to remove the knife from her hand. The man's face contorted from one of anger to one of pain as he looked down. The black rubber of the knife handle mocked him from its new position in his stomach. He let out a groan and fell over. hands grasping for the air around him as he went down. His eyes were becoming glossy, and Toga silently wondered if he could still see well like that. 29, she murmured, and turned to her mother. She didn't say anything, only contemplated her own actions, past and future, as she watched her mother sink to her knees. Her ribs ached with a fresh and splitting pain, and Toga knew she must have worsened the injury moving around like that. Her gaze fell to the corpse beside her. Did he deserve that? Yes, probably. The death penalty was suitable for someone so abusive and neglectful, she reasoned. You monster! Her mother croaked out a sob that Toga hadn't been listening to. She wiped it off his shirt, staining his tan vest with the drying blood. She stood up and turned to leave. Toga just wanted to be left alone. She didn't need revenge right now. She hardly wanted it. Despite what they've done to her, this was a mercy for her mother, a peace treaty of sorts. Toga began walking away, going to retrieve her duffel bag. She slunked it over her shoulder and headed towards the woods. Her limp was worsening with every passing step, and her lungs stung with a dull pain. Two hands planted firmly on her back, suddenly shoving her to the ground. She hit it violently, landing on a pointed rock that surely sliced her arm open. She turned around to see the culprit, lifting herself off the rocks as she did so. Her mother stood there, hands still outstretched and shaking. You deserve to die, Toga said coldly, her brows furrowed. She was struck down with no chance to repent, though to assume she would be a crime of its own. Toga removed her knife from her mother's neck, steadying herself with a nearby tree as she stood up. 30. Examining her arm, she realized she was losing quite a bit of blood. There was a hospital not too far down the road, though she knew that the police probably already put out a warrant for her arrest on the charges of illegally concealed weapon and murder. It was likely that the hospital was notified too, and would turn her in. So with nowhere else to go, Toga headed into the woods. It was about an hour later when Toga stumbled into a clearing with a cherry blossom tree. She smiled lightly and sat beneath it, starting to feel dizzy. Her ribs still hurt, but the pain had been almost numbed by the adrenaline. She could tell her arm was starting to pout blood at a relatively alarming rate, but she couldn't feel it. If she bled out, at least it would be underneath the falling petals of a wonderful tree. The tears began pouring out at that thought. She didn't want to die. She was so young. 17 is no age to wither away in a forest where no one knows your name, where no one can think of anything you've done and put a face to it. Toga swore that if she made it out of this, that one day, everyone would know her name, that no one would be safe from her influence, and everyone would respect her. None would dare to cross or backstab or hurt her. She wiped at her tears angrily. No one would. Hey, kid. You lost. Ochako sat silently, listening as Toga told her story. The room was quiet, and the stars had almost disappeared in the morning light. She didn't say a word when the blonde paused, unsure of herself, or gritted her teeth, and kept talking. The hero listened to every word she said, eyes trained on the slowly rising sun as the villain spoke. That's how I met the League. Toga trailed off, glancing over at Ochako. The hero didn't fail to notice the several times she'd done that, and wondered why she did. Was the blonde checking her reaction? Ochako wasn't quite sure how to respond. Her parents had loved her immensely, and despite the multiple jobs each of them juggled, they still made time for her. No matter how tired they were, or how long their days were, they'll take her to the park once they got home. Toga was looking patiently at her, awaiting an answer. In the dim morning light, Ochako could tell she was more worried than she let on, but doubted the villain would elaborate if asked. The hero averted her gaze to the window again, which appeared to be her favorite thing in the room, as she thought. She wasn't broken in any sense of the word, so it wasn't like Toga needed to be fixed. Far from it. She was fine the way she was, albeit the way she was, heavily conflicted with Ochako's morals. You're a good person, all things considered, was what Ochako came up with. Toga eyed her curiously. Thanks. She paused, sitting up from her position on the bed. Damn, it's morning already? Toga groaned and laid back down. Yeah. Ochako wasn't sure what happened to cause her to stay awake for so long, and she doubted she'd be able to do so for much longer. Well, when they need us, they'll bang on the door. Good night, Toga said before laying back down. She faced the wall, trying to fight off a soft smile as she attempted to sleep again. This left Ochako alone with her thoughts, particularly the alarming one of sleep. She leaned against the door and shut her eyes, falling asleep almost instantly. I am so sorry if my voice sounds ridiculous or anything like that. I'm sick. No, Kingston, stop texting. No, I mean typing. Stop it. I'm taking care of myself, okay? Okay, if I'm being honest, I should actually not be here recording. But Kingston, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do about it, okay? This is making me feel better because I cannot fall asleep again because I've been sleeping half the day. I need to get up and be productive because I don't have the luxury of letting... I don't have enough videos accumulated to be able to have the luxury of get these 2 days off. Not to mention I have work in 2 days, so better that I act like as if I'm not sick and then start feeling as though I'm not sick, so that when work comes around, I'm not dying at work. So yeah. Now, I would call it sick, but I don't get sick paid leave for another 22 days. So I'm not sick. Anybody ask? No, I'm not sick. I sound like this because I went to a concert, so my voice is sore. Yup, that's what I'm going with. Me, Mr. I hate loud noises, went to a concert. Yup. Better yet, make it more disbelievable. I went to a rave. Yup. Okay. Well, actually, no. I want to talk a little bit about notes and stuff. So, Toga... It does change the way that, what's it called? The reason why she killed the guy. I don't love it, but I don't hate it. It's just like, oh, interesting. I want to see how that goes. I want to see how you go with that, how that, change and correlates. Maybe it doesn't do anything, and if so, well, okay, alright, whatever. I do like the implications that she killed her parents. I love that. I love the new meeting of the league, because the way that they used to meet was different in My Hero Academia main. So I actually do appreciate this one a whole lot more, right? Especially, like, considering it in a psychological wise. Of course, she's gonna, like, I don't know the words, but imprint on these people and view them as her true family, because she had just been, you know, for years, she had been betrayed by her family and backstabbed by her family. Which also, can we talk about her last, like, things, like, being like, hey, I am never gonna let someone backstab me again, I'm never gonna let someone hurt me again. And Ochako came around and did that. And, again, it gives even more perspective on why Toga reacted the way she reacted, right? Now, one might say, oh, Toga's being too chill with Ochako. It makes no sense. Did she not just wanted to kill her, like, hours ago? Look, before y'all say that shit, you have to understand, psychology-wise, no matter how much someone you love messes up, a part of you will love the person. No matter what. A part of you will still long for the person, right? I mean, think about it. Why do you think, people stay in toxic and manipulative and abusive relationships? Whether it be familiarships, family who is toxic and does all that stuff, whether it be an actual, relationship, or whether it be a friend. Because you do not want to believe that you put your trust on someone who broke it. You do not want to believe that something that you believed was wrong. You do not want to believe that you were wrong in trusting that person. And furthermore, you don't want to believe that the person you love, the person you care about, is doing these horrible stuff. Which is why a lot of the time, sometimes you turn a blind eye. It's not good. It's not. It really isn't. You need to find a balance on holding those you love responsible for what they're doing, but at the same time, like, I understand. I understand, right? I deeply understand as someone who has had a very manipulative and abusive best friend. I understand the want to just pretend like it's not happening. The want to forgive them. Because I did, at one point, forgive them. I gave them a second shot. They fucking blew it, but I gave them that shot. And luckily, I had a support system that made me see a different way. But for those saying that Toga... well, I mean, I didn't see anybody say this, obviously, but for those probably thinking, like, oh, she kind of turned out of nowhere, like, she kind of forgave her too fast. Sometimes it be like that. Especially for someone who, craves validation so much. It's like, okay, Ochako was nice to her. And, you know, right now, she's still being nice. And maybe I just need to give her a second shot. Maybe it's okay to open up my heart again. I don't want to lose that person. A lot of the times, we stick around because we don't want to lose the person. And sometimes this is bad, right? Obviously, sometimes this is bad. And sometimes it's good because the person messed up once and they won't do it again. And they will actually, you know, make up for the shit that they did. But obviously, this is not... this is a situation that's like that, but it's not one of the other ones where it's like, oh, they're just gonna hurt the person again. This is one of the situations where I'm pretty sure Ochako is going to, you know, not hurt Toga again. Right, Kingston? Right? It's gonna be smooth sailing from here on out. Right, Kingston? Nothing can go wrong. Right, Kingston? You're... Nothing can go wrong, right, Kingston? Kingston? Why do I have a feeling that something's gonna go bad? As soon as I said, like, oh, Ochako's not gonna do it again, my thought went to, fuck, I think I just jinxed it. Kingston's probably like, about that. Kingston? Kingston, we talked about this, Kingston. Okay, enough joking around. As always, my raindrops, make sure to eat, sleep, drink water, take your meds. Have a wonderful day or night. Link to my Discord server and socials are down in the description. Subscribe to see more of my content, and thank you so much for watching.